I'll be home for Christmas.
Hey y'all, it's Brittany Michelle. I am so excited about this new opportunity that I have to share with you through the lenses of grief, home for the holidays. We want to talk about a few different things, but today we're talking about 'tis the season of triggers. And I am so excited to have my sister friend with me today, y'all. We letting y'all in on our conversation because
They be real.
this is not the first time that we've had these conversations, but it is a privilege to sit down with my girl, Porcia Mann.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, guys.
Thank you for having me, though. This is
I'm
really
excited.
dope.
I'm
This is
excited.
really
Like,
dope.
literally, we're really just going to let you in on our conversation. Again, today we're going to talk about triggers. I think that one of the most important things that we have to realize during the holiday season is that everybody is not feeling what you may feel in the moment. A lot of people are excited about the holidays. Portia started the holidays.
It started for me when the kids go back
October.
to school in August.
It has already, it's basically Christmas for her. For me, I am not hating the holidays this year per se, but I am not as excited as she is.
But
about
you've
it.
given me a different, that is a different perspective on it. Like, I'm always like, it's the most wonderful time of the year.
Right.
Everybody is walking around. Everybody truly is not walking
But they're
around
not.
like that. Yeah.
Everybody is not. And I think that's the reality, though. I think the reality is we haven't normalized the fact that everybody don't feel like you. So show
Yeah.
compassion, always be kind.
Mhm.
We haven't normalized that enough in our culture, in the world in general.
Yeah.
And so when people are triggered or
Yeah.
when they are not feeling the same joy you feel, you deem them as a Scrooge,
Yeah.
or a Grinch, right?
Because that was me. I would be like, it's Christmas. Like, what do you
Like
mean
you
you're
ought
not
to just
excited?
feel, you ought
Yeah.
to just feel happy, and then they get labeled
Yeah.
rather than always being supported too. It's like
yeah.
in some instances they just need support to say, yeah, not this year, and you don't have to do it this year.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
It's real.
I want to say that, like, my friends, my first year after my father passed, the holidays came really, really fast. So my
Yeah.
father passed October 21st, 2020. We buried him November 1st
Oh,
of
wow. Right in
2020.
the thick
Right
of
in the
it.
thick of it.
Yeah.
And, Christmas trees are already out, and I'm ready to kick everything
Right.
over. I'm like, nah, I don't want none of this. Like, no thank you.
Right.
And the holidays came really quickly, and I just wasn't ready. I didn't want to be around people. I love my family. My family gave me a lot of grace and love, as everybody was processing that
Right.
loss that close to the holidays. But we ended up going out of town. We went to the Dominican
Yeah.
for that Thanksgiving. And part of me felt like it's wrong for me to be here because the tradition
The
is
tradition
for us to be together, and we're supposed to be. So I'm like FaceTiming my family, like,
Yeah.
happy Thanksgiving, but like, no thank you. I'm not,
Yeah.
and at the same time giving myself grace to feel what I felt in the moment and give myself what I needed in the moment to survive that space. Because the truth for me is my tradition was having my daddy every day.
Right.
And that's one of the biggest traditions of my entire life,
Yeah.
is that he was with me all the time. And we didn't do holidays without one another.
Yeah.
So I think, not knowing then that I was triggered, but holidays in general ever since, because it kind of all happened so quickly.
Right.
And then right after that, buried my dad November 1st. Then there's Thanksgiving. Then his birthday is December 16th. And then there's Christmas.
Oh, wow. Okay. I
And
didn't
so,
know you-
yeah,
okay.
so all the way through the end of 2020, I'm like, I don't want any of this. Like, I want to get under the bed, and I want to stay there. Maybe January 3rd. Maybe
I might come up
maybe
for air.
I'm gonna come up for
January
air.
3rd. Yeah.
But I didn't want to do, because all of this stuff that is normal, that we should be feeling, I didn't feel. I
Yeah.
couldn't pretend to feel it. didn't want to see no poinsettias. I didn't want to eat turkey and dressing.
Why are the poinsettias always out? I
These
like them
poinsettias.
flowers.
They're ugly. I don't like them. And it was that though. It was like all the things that are now normal for this holiday feel wrong because here I am.
It's different.
Everything that I know is gone now. What I'm used to is over.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because grief is not centered around death loss. But because we've given it that much, like we've only put it toward that.
Absolutely.
That we don't even pay attention to the fact that some people are triggered by the holidays for different reasons.
Absolutely.
It could be that you have gotten married and now it doesn't look like going to your family's house.
Because let me tell you something. For me, it was like, no, we're going to my family's house.
Right.
And on the other side of that, he's like, yeah, but I have people too. So how are we going to split the time up? So for me, I felt very much in the middle, like I don't know what to do. And it was simple. What do you want to do? Do that. Because it's okay.
It's okay to do something
that
different.
It's different.
Yes.
I didn't understand that.
But we've not always been given that grace.
Yeah.
We've not been given the grace because tradition is what it is. And tradition, one of the things for me, I'm not against traditions. I think that they are beautiful in the time that they're in. But what it does is sometimes when life changes, it confines you and it makes it harder for you to embrace the change. The
change, absolutely.
That the change is what it is. So this looks differently for me now.
Yeah.
I've never been married before.
Yeah.
So what do I do with somebody else's family?
Yeah.
When this is what's new, or being divorced. So now maybe I started a tradition that,
sheesh,
and it's over now.
And now you have to go back. So I started the tradition once I got married. Then I got divorced. So now I'm like, wait, so am I grieving that? That's a loss.
Absolutely.
But the person is still walking around.
Absolutely.
I can still see that person on social media.
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
But I didn't think grief. I was just like, my go-to, I'm in a weird space.
Right.
It's weird for me.
Right
it
now.
feels very weird. I don't know what it is.
Right.
I'm going to go sleep it off, eat it off, do whatever I can do. But then when I met with it again, I don't understand it. I don't understand how to handle it.
That is one of the biggest goals of today, is making sure that we understand how to, or figuring out how to, because I'm not saying any of this or sharing any of this because I get it all right.
Right.
I'm sharing this information and this space, one, to help you realize and make sure that you understand that you're not alone in what you feel. All over this world, people are processing grief in different ways for different and various reasons, right? But what we have to understand is that, like, if you don't give identity to it, if you just go, I feel weird today,
you just pack it back in.
and you're like, let me go take a nap and I'll feel better.
Yeah.
Or let me go, because one thing about me, when my daddy died, I either ate nothing or I ate everything that wasn't nailed down. Like, it was one or the other. There was no in between for me. So I was like, I'm gonna go get a donut.
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat what I want to eat today, and I'll feel better tomorrow.
Yeah.
When in the reality, when tomorrow came and I felt the same thing, I didn't know what to do with it. We gotta give identity
to the trigger. Yeah.
You gotta give identity to the grief. You gotta give identity to it, because when you give identity to something, then you can better understand how to care for it.
I was just fixing to say, then you'll learn how to master it.
And
Because
manage it,
for me, mine is, let me get away from you until I master
Mm-hmm.
the trigger. That's not always the reality, because you may have to work with some of these people. Some of the people may be family, friends.
Absolutely.
So what I want to do is just disappear. Let me get away so I can master this trigger before it get gangsta in here.
Right.
But I'm still learning how to master the trigger. I haven't. That's still very much a daily thing for me, because I want to be able to be around and not let my triggers control me. I feel like sometimes my triggers control me.
And they can't. Like, the biggest thing is giving identity to it helps you speak to it properly, so that you can put it in its place.
Yeah.
Because if you don't deal with grief, grief will deal with you.
Yeah.
If you don't deal with your trigger, it will deal with you. It will handle you, and it'll have you out here wilding.
Yeah.
In a way that you don't understand. Like, and a lot of it, I was like, this is not me. This is not me. This is something that I'm allowing to control how I feel.
Absolutely.
And I've got to give some verbiage to it. I got to figure out. And that's why I understand now. I know the importance of therapy, because my therapist was able to help me give words to what I'd never experienced before. She's like, oh, when I went to counseling, the first time I went was after losing my godmother in 2018. Gotcha. So my grandfather passed in 2017, October. Listen, October, I'm sitting right now. Today is October, what's
13th.
The 13th.
In October, it's Octobering.
Triggered. Okay.
Yeah.
We triggered today because October is just a weird month for me. So I lost my grandfather October 3rd, 2017. Mm-hmm. And then November 2018, I lost my godmother. And I think that's when I first was like, I gotta something is happening. Somebody gotta tell me something. Somebody do something. Yeah. And I had that, and so I went, and I think I went for like 2 sessions. Mm-hmm. And she was like, yeah, you're gonna have to keep coming. You gotta keep coming and talking through it. And I think the first 2 sessions was just full of tears and whys.
Because you just want to get it out.
I don't understand, and this don't make sense. Like, my godmother, she was amazing. She was healthy to me, you know, and in a matter of months, we just didn't have her anymore. Yeah. And it was just weird, and I didn't know what to do with it. And so for a while, when we talk about triggers, you can be triggered by multiple things. I didn't go to DC. She lived in DC. I didn't go back to I had been going to DC like frequently because she lived up there.
You know, and the DC first time, listen,
so the first time I ended up going back up there, I'm like, this is like, I don't like. I don't know what to call it. I don't know what to call this, and it's like, oh, you're triggered. I'm triggered by a whole state. Yeah. Now, like, what does that mean?
October and DC, you gotta go.
Yeah. You out of here. And so like the month of October is just weird. And then, but that was the first time I went to therapy. Mm-hmm. And then in 2019, July 2019, I lost my aunt, my mother's sister. And gosh, that just, Jesus. I mean, it was back to back. It was back to back. Since 2016, I've lost somebody every year that was dear. And I think that was the first time. So when I went for Shell's death, because typically for me, which I think is the craziest thing. Okay. I think what we have to stop at these jobs is them 3 bereavement days, because what am I going to do in 3 days?
That up.
What am I going to do in 3 days?
I'm crying all 3 of them days. Off the rip.
I'm out here losing it for 3 days. Yeah. And I got to come back to work on day 4.
And put it all
and hope
together.
that within those 3 days that I've used, that all the services and all of this stuff has happened. But that's what I did. I took off a Sunday at church. I did my 3 bereavement days, and I kept on going. Yeah. Then when Shell passed, I went back to therapy and I started going more consistent. And my therapist said, you're dealing now with complicated grief. And I'm like,
so there's different.
It's something else.
So grief is just one big
So she's like, now you're dealing with complicated grief. Mm-hmm. So there's different types of grief that you can be in. And I was like, well, why is it complicated? I mean, it all seems complicated to me.
Because I'm like.
But because there are now multiple losses that have added up. That I'm still dealing with my granddaddy.
Loss number 1.
Yeah, I'm still like kind of processing that, like, oh man. So that's coming out in the tears of my godmother being gone, and then that's coming out in the tears of Shell being gone. Right. Then my daddy passes in October, and listen, it's over for me. Like, I'm like completely wiped in all the areas, but being able to say, okay, this is giving me pain here. That's giving me pain here.
That's what I was about to ask you. What was the moment? So you went through all of those deaths back to back. Then you get to your father's. What in you said, no. Let me just not keep going. Yeah.
It stopped me. Ooh. It like grief stopped me. There was no. Yeah. There was no way I could 3-day that and get back. It didn't let me. Yeah. It didn't let me. And it's crazy. I think about it now. God's grace that we were in a pandemic, that I didn't have to get up and go to an office. Like, I can't even imagine if I had to have gone into work. And so I even find gratitude in my grief that God had us in a weird space. COVID, you know, it did what it did. But we were in a weird space, and I didn't have to go to the office. So I didn't have to be around people. I could just be around my loved ones, and that was good. Yeah. But even them was limited. Okay. Right. It was limited. The vibes were limited. Yeah. But still, like, it stopped me in my tracks. Like, I remember leading worship one time after my father's passing at the end of 2020. I led worship and I sang a song. I just thought about that. It just came to me. I sang a song called Yes, I Will by Anthony Evans. And it says, yes, I will lift you high in my lowest valley. Oof. Yes, I will bless your name. Sheesh. Yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy all my days. Yes, I will. And I sang it. I got through that song. And I left that church that day knowing I couldn't do that anymore. Yeah. Because I didn't believe it. Yeah. And wow. I know y'all, don't judge me, okay?
No, that's real. I feel like that's real, though.
And in that moment, I said, I cannot. This was the most serious space for me. And I thank God for this space, and I thank God for his grace in this space. But I said then, I can't keep singing about a God I don't trust.
Sheesh. What happens when you lose that trust?
I was like, I don't believe that.
People don't talk about this, Brittany. People do not talk about the fact that you are like, I'm sorry, I don't trust this.
I was like, I don't believe that. And I feel like I just lied to them people and just made them believe something that I don't believe, and I don't want to do that. Wow. And that's when I ultimately stopped leading worship at the moment. God gave me grace for that moment because even singing was triggering for me because my daddy was the reason I sang. My daddy, and it wasn't because he did a lot. Like, my grandfather was, like, heavy on the, like, you gonna sing, right? And then my Uncle Mike, he was big, like, you gonna sing before I preach. I'm like, y'all have got to stop this. But my dad was very gentle in this space where he could I knew his support. I could just see him standing at the back of the church. Yeah. And I would see him standing up. And then we get in the car and be like, you need to slow down. You need to slow down a little bit.
Okay, he was gentle with it.
Yeah, he was. And it gave me courage. And, but now I'm thinking I got to sing and I don't really have my why. Wow. So think about.
And church will tell you, no, ma'am, you better get up there and do it.
You better praise past your pain.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that in me. I just didn't have it in me. And I had grace. God gave me grace to stop. God gave me grace to pause because singing was triggering for me. It was hard for me to do without melting down after the fact.
Understandably, yeah.
And that's so crazy because that's what I've always done. Like, that's what I had done with every other death prior to my father's was you sing, you praise, you give God glory through it, and that's it. And you keep on going. But that death wouldn't let me.
It was like, no, we got some things to do.
Sis, we're going to process this.
The processing is
because
it's like you think a year goes by, 2 years, 3 years, and it's like, okay, I've processed this. And then you get hit with something else that you didn't even know that triggered you in that. So it's like you get back on the stage, you start singing, and you get to doing that.
And here we are.
In October.
Triggered. Because I am singing again, and I love it, and I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to do it. I'm grateful that God has extended me grace to get back to doing it. Yeah. At the same time, when it feels heavy, I'm like, I don't have my daddy to talk to. I don't have my auntie to talk to. Yeah. I don't you know what I mean? Like, it is difficult to kind of keep going, but it's like, even right now, you just keep going. Because right now, this is keeping going.
But what you said earlier is very true, because I find myself listing the things that I don't have or the place that I wish I was, but then I'll stop and go, yeah, but you don't remember last year you couldn't even talk. You couldn't even do this. You couldn't even. Right. So just giving yourself grace of where you are. Right. And how far you've come.
And I think it's important that we understand that triggers can be multiple things. Yeah. Right. So it can be a song. That music be wearing us out.
Baby, listen, I would turn this off. Get this off my radio. Yeah.
It can be a scent. It can be a restaurant. Yeah. It can be a month. It can be a city. Yeah. And I think when learning how to manage your triggers, when learning how to process what you don't understand, because I'm not saying that I just got it all together and I know what to do with it. Like, here I am entering year 3 without my father, And I'm like, sis, like,
you healing out loud in real time.
Trying to.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you can't be triggered by October, sis. This come every year. Like, what you gonna do? Like, October comes every year. You can't be out here wilding every October. So what are you gonna? So learning to manage. I don't believe that time heals all wounds. I do believe that it helps you manage differently.
You don't think
over time
at some point you'll get to a place to where you're like, oh, it's just October. No,
I hope maybe.
Yeah, is that what's
maybe,
the goal?
I don't know if that's
though?
the goal. Is that the goal? I don't know if that's the goal. I don't know if it's more so about. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe I'll let y'all know.
Because I hear that time heals all wounds. The time heals
I don't believe
all,
it.
and
Scam.
the more
Ponzi
I'm going
scheme.
through this journey, it's not giving what y'all said.
Somebody lied. Y'all lied to me. But I think the biggest thing, though, for me as I process my triggers in real time is to give identity to it.
Yeah.
Don't minimize what you feel by saying, I'm just going to sleep it off and da-da-da.
Yeah.
Like that. Give identity to it so that you can care for it the right way.
Yeah.
Have somebody to talk to. Have somebody to, like, she got a lot of earful this morning. This morning, y'all. Not this morning. Before now, this morning, having a safe space to dump and say what you need to say. Identify what those triggers are, and then give yourself space to understand why it triggered you, what it was for, like what was that reason behind it.
Because it's coming back up.
Because it may come back around.
Yeah.
October got to come back around.
Yeah.
How am I going to process this? And don't put yourself in a space like I did where I was like, dog, it's year 3. I should feel better than I did. Like,
we always.
I'm like, I should feel better than this. Like, Brittany, put yourself together. And it's like, be kind to yourself. Be kind to the space that you're living in right now, because you have to live through this so that you can get to the other side of it. Without living through it, if you beat yourself down in it, like you won't be able to live out the testimony that you need to.
True.
That you got past it and that you got to. I'm on a different side of grief now. I do believe that. Like you said, I know 2 years ago. Yeah. Getting up and continuing on with my day.
Yeah. This morning would have been a different call.
What?
I ain't coming.
Hey, not happening. Canceled.
Yeah.
And so I give myself grace for that. And I applaud myself that, hey, I'm not in the same space that I once was in. And
but even being where you are, I feel like you're in a beautiful place now that you have identified it and you know how to manage it. But the beautiful thing is, it's really okay to have a bad day. Absolutely. It's what you do with it, with the bad day, that matters. And not being ruled by it. I don't allow my emotions to rule me. Yeah. Oof. God. I'm going to be like you when I grow up. Okay, I don't get it right all the time. Let me say this again. Yeah. I don't get it all right, but I work very hard now as I've been able to be more self-aware about what I need. Is that I don't let I feel this, but I don't let it rule me. Yeah. And so I think the biggest thing that I want people to take away from us being able to share, and that one, you're not alone. You're not the first person to experience a trigger. You can be triggered by multiple things. Give identity to those triggers. Don't allow them to rule you. Right. And it's okay when you have to do something different during the holidays. Yeah, for sure. Because turkey and dressing might trigger you. And if that's not what you need, if you prefer pizza this year, have pizza. An extra large. Listen, if you decide I don't want to put the lights up, I don't want to put the Christmas tree up, don't do it. Yeah. Be okay with this may be it right now. But this may not be, it won't be this way forever. I am a witness that you can experience joy again. Whew. You can experience joy again. And it may not be every day. Yeah. But it will come. And then you can actually say, I told my friend, I actually know what it means to have joy that surpasses. Yeah, I saw a video. And peace that surpasses understanding. I saw a video. I don't remember who it was, but he was saying that's what helps him through the dark days, is to know that the brighter days are coming. He was like, because that's really what this is, right? It's up and down. So when you're in the dark times, and I know it's hard. It's really hard because I'm talking real time here. Right now. Healing out loud. Know that the brighter days are really coming. I'm not just saying that it sounds cliche and cheesy, but we serve a God who will for sure comfort you in those times. Absolutely. So just hang on.
Listen, stick with it, y'all. I am so grateful that I was able to sit down with you today. And we're going to do it again. We're going to do it a couple more times just because we'll let y'all in on some of our conversations.
Yeah.
But
thank you for having me. Thank you
I thank you so much for the time that we've been able to spend today. Listen, I want to make sure that you know that I love you. I'm praying for you. If you're grieving, if you're supporting somebody that's grieving, stay the course. Do the work that it takes to heal. It's not easy, but it's possible. Bye,
I'll be home for Christmas.